are hopping on, Michael, but we'll go ahead and hit the record button and
Okay.
get going. So, welcome everybody. Thanks for tuning in from all different parts of the country to the Senior Solutions Agency Friday Call. This is a live training event that we do every week. Obviously, we do try to get it recorded and get it out on our YouTube channel so other people can view it. And you can watch it as a replay as well. So, Michael, how are you doing, sir?
Doing very well, my friend. Really excited about 2022, really making a lot of things happen. But, Joe, really excited about getting back out there and seeing the people, seeing the final expense professionals again. The pandemic, you don't know what you have until you lose it. And the pandemic really took a lot of the personal touch out of the insurance industry. And I'm so ready to get back out. This is a relationship business between us and the agents, but also between the agents and our clients. Looking forward to out there and just getting ready to shake the hand, see eyeball to eyeball our partners in crime here at Senior Solutions. So looking forward to get out in the country and seeing everybody.
Yeah. Well, you want to let the cat out of the bag and let people know we don't have an official date, but where we are going to be in May.
Yes, in May, everybody, we're going to be in the Sunshine State. So Orlando, moments from Disney World. Senior Solutions is going to make a commitment to the Sunshine State, and we're going to make a commitment to you. One of the biggest things Joe and I always talk about that makes you successful in any business, especially insurance, is consistency. So Senior Solutions has made a commitment to a consistent meeting at minimum once a month, probably it's going to end up being twice a month, to Central Florida, which is the greater Orlando area, probably up to the northeast, up to Volusia County and Daytona, and probably down to the southeast or southwest, down to Tampa Bay and Hillsborough. So we are so excited about running a final expense university there, where you're going to learn everything from A to Z, the techniques, the scripts, and really the fundamental principles to really run your own successful final expense practice. So Joe and I can't wait to start that, which should be sometime in May.
Yeah, we're getting everything ramped up, guys, and it won't just be Florida. We're going to start with Florida, then we're going to hit the Carolinas, and then we're going to migrate west and go out towards go to Texas, obviously, and be out there. But guys, we got a great call lined up for you, as you probably noticed from the blast text that went out. It was a surprise final expense carrier, as you can see from the slide that I have up right now. Now, we're not rolling out a new carrier. I'm kind of like revamping a carrier that we've had for a long time, but in my opinion, Michael, probably doesn't get the notice or doesn't get the credit that it deserves. So it's kind of, how some stores will do like a rebranding, or,
Yes.
they've been open for 5 years, but then they do a refresh.
Yes.
Like a new grand opening. So we're kind of doing rolling out like a new grand opening with one of our carriers that I really like, and so we'll get to that in just a minute. But our quote of the week, man, we haven't done a Napoleon Hill quote in a long time. So the quote of the week is from Napoleon Hill, and if you don't know who he is, well, you got bigger problems. You've been living in a cave or sleeping under a rock, right? But Michael, check this out. Patience, persistence, and perspiration make an unbeatable combination for success.
Wow.
And isn't that what we preach every week?
Yes.
I mean, listen, you don't get to the top of the hill overnight. There's going to be, we talk about learning curve. That's where the patience comes in. We talk about persistency, that, it's not going out and door knocking one day. It's going out and door knocking every day and prospecting every single day to have it. It's not just, it's not just once. It's continuous and it's persistent. And the perspiration is just talking about working. You gotta work. And you don't get to the mountaintop by going out and doing one day of hard work. You get to the mountaintop by doing one day of hard work consistently over a long period of time. You know, when I got into this business, you know, one of my mentors, you certainly know the name, I'm not going to mention it, but, you know, he always said, man, you keep doing the right thing for long enough and good things are going to happen. And that's exactly what this quote is alluding to. It's good things happen to people who stay consistent and persistent over a long period of time. So anyway, so check out Napoleon Hill, man. He's a great author. He's a great man. And if you don't know who he is, certainly check him out. And this is the time in the video. Obviously, we're doing this live, but if you're watching this as a replay on YouTube, my name's Joe Johnson. That was Michael Mahalik. We run this show every single week for Senior Solutions. So subscribe to our channel because we put out brand new content. Give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment, hit the notification bell. And if you're interested in receiving more information about Senior Solutions, or if you're interested in contracting opportunities, or if you want to get more information about our upcoming events in Orlando, shoot me a text and I can certainly get you the information that you're looking for. And Michael, you had some material planned for today, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, great. So let me turn the call over to you and let you take it away and give us your sales tips for the week.
Sounds good, ladies and gentlemen. I want to share every business model has some counter. Bless you, sir. Bless you.
Sorry.
No problem. Every sales model, every business has this counterintuitive truths that you find out when you get into it. And one of the biggest ones here is, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to share someone that may be shocking, especially to some newer people, Joe. And that is your primary mission when you enter your prospect's home is not to make a sale. And yes, you heard me right. You don't have to change anything on here. Your primary mission, ladies and gentlemen, is to fully educate your client on what all their options are as it pertains to paying for their final expenses. You know, Joe, I laugh as I talk to the new agents. You know, our clients have been on this earth for quite some time, and they have this knack of smelling what we call in the industry commission breath. And if they think you're just showing up just to make a sale to them and not educate them, not to take care of them, they're going to shut you down and shut you down quick. Because the guiding principle of this business is that our clients truly don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. They don't care how much you know about Transamerica or Mutual of Omaha or Liberty Bankers until they know how much you care about them. So our number one goal, ladies and gentlemen, is to be professional explainers and professional question and answers. You know, we never refer, and this is another shocking thing, we never refer to ourselves as salespeople in the final expense business. No, we're professional educators in this business right here. And all top performers are, that you meet, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to find out they're not transactional in nature. No, they're relational in nature, because this is a compassion, not commissions business. So your primary objective, and you know, Joe, we always laugh telling agents, and when they pull up in front of a house, you got to give yourself that checkup from the neck up. Well, your biggest thing is that you need to get in education mode. You need to get in compassion mode. And you need to say to yourself, I'm going to educate this person the best I can. And guess what? Helping isn't always selling. But when you fully educate your client, it's going to be the best defense you have against your policy getting replaced here in the future. Because Joe and I want to make two guarantees to everybody on this phone right here. Guarantee number one is that within 6 months, there is going to be another agent walking into your client's home trying to replace your business. And your best defense against them doing that is a client that you've fully educated. I'm going to make another guarantee to you that you probably already figured out, and that is that Colonial Penn, Globe Life, Physicians Mutual, ARP are going to chase our clients until they die. They're going to try to sell them those temporary term and guaranteed acceptance policies until they pass away one day. So that's why it's so important that you fully educate your client, not only on what all their options are, but also what their competition are. That are, you know, our competition offers, Joe, those temporary term policies that expire at a certain age and have those premium increases every 5 years. Even though our clients' fixed income is not going up every 5 years, their premium is still going up, and that causes a lot of lapses. But then more importantly, and as we all know, we love the game show host Alex Trebek on Colonial Penn, or on Jeopardy, who was doing Colonial Penn. I think it's now Jonathan, Joe. But, that's a guaranteed acceptance policy. And, as you're sitting in your client's home, sometimes you can see that commercial, Joe, 5 times on the TV while you're going through your presentation. Newer agents may not realize that policy has a 2-year wait period on it before they're even eligible to receive the benefit. So it's your primary mission to fully educate your clients. And when you do that, it's almost going to be like building a moat around a castle. That's the defense of your castle and keeping your business on the books. Because the best defense in final expense is your offense. And the offensive play that we play over and over as a final expense professional is being committed to fully educating our clients on what all their options are as it pertains to taking care of their final expenses. Because an educated client is a motivated client that many times not only allows you to write business on them today, but also leaves the policy on the books for the long term. So ladies and gentlemen, never forget that. Sort of get rid of the salesese mentality. You're not salespeople here. You are professional educators, professional explanation, professional question answers. And ladies and gentlemen, not only do you have to come to Orlando to get a university on knowing how to educate your clients, just go to seniorsolutionsagents.com. Joe, I will put our website up against anybody else in the industry. Ladies and gentlemen, there's no protected passwords. This information is all free to you, and it's all about how much you want to invest in yourself. And secondly, you got the best coach in the final expense industry. We always laugh, Joe, and like your video said, if you want to be a top performer in this industry, you've got to learn from a top performer. And ladies and gentlemen, we've got a guy that used to write $200,000 and $300,000 a year right on the video with us right here, Joe Johnson himself. So again, Joe, that's my sales tip for today. This is a compassion, not commissions business, and the primary mission of every final expense professional is to be a professional educator, always fully educating our clients on what all their options, including ours, as it pertains to paying for their final expenses. So back over to you, Joe.
Thanks, buddy. Just a couple of things, man. That was a ton of content. So hope you guys were taking notes, because I certainly was. A couple of things, Michael, I just want to add to it. You're talking about getting in there and educating them, and clients being able to smell a phony or commission breath, that sort of thing. The 2 biggest tips I can tell you about making an in-home presentation is just be you, man. Be 2 things: be authentic and be genuine. And when you go into the house and you're making that presentation and you are genuinely trying to help that person, regardless of whether you sell them or not. Like Michael said, your goal is not to go in there and try to push them into a policy. I mean, eventually you want to educate them and guide them down the path of doing that, but you got to do it with a good and a good heart and an open heart, knowing that your job is not necessarily just to sell them, is to put them in a better place than where you found them when you met them in the first place. The other thing too is about Michael. You always say this is an activity-driven business. I just want you to keep this in mind. Yes, guys, we get paid off of premium. Okay, we get paid off of our commission is calculated on how much premium we write for the week. Do me a favor. Stop worrying about the premium that you're writing. This business is not about premium. This business is about presentations, okay? So, when you're doing your activity tracker, yes, you absolutely 100% should be counting how much premium you're writing, but that shouldn't be your focus. In other words, if you walk into a house and for the week, and man, your first 2 days, you're really good, and you wrote $5,000-$6,000 those 2 days, you don't take the rest of the week off, right? Well, the same goes with if you are making presentations, but you're not getting to where you want to be. It's all about the presentations. I say that you should be making at least 12 to 15 presentations a week, not appointments. Okay, hear about these guys, these other IMOs, and oh yeah, you got to book 20, 30 appointments a week. It ain't about how many appointments you make. It's about how many presentations you make. And when I was out in the field as a full-time producer, I didn't care about my premium. I didn't care about appointments. all I cared about was presentations. And I made sure at the end of the week that my activity tracker had a minimum of 12 to 15 presentations. And you know what, Michael? Whenever I hit 12 to 15 presentations, I didn't have to worry about my premium, brother,
Nope.
because it was always there.
Never leave it.
Premium was
15 is the magic.
always there. You know, and that's how you become a $20,000 to $30,000 a month producer, is focusing on the right activity, which is presentations. So you got, and then so to kind of back into that or reverse engineer it, you got to make sure you've got enough leads to get your 12 to 15 presentations. And the last little tip I'm going to give you, only because I just talked to Gerard yesterday, and we're talking about door knocking and stuff like that, is it drives me crazy when agents don't follow up on their lapses. Guys, follow up on your lapses. I was talking to Gerard in South Carolina yesterday, and he was talking about door knocking, and he got a lapse notice. He tried calling the phone was disconnected, so he said, what the heck, I'll door knock it. You know what she said, Michael? She goes, oh my God, thank God that you came to see me. I need, and rewrote her a different policy, but so many agents just don't take that little step. And I'm just telling you, man, if you do a proper job and you follow up on your lapses, I'm telling you, you could probably rewrite or save close to 50% of those lapses, because a lot of times it was a banking error, or some emergency happened and they canceled the policy, but they really want it. So just make sure that you follow up on those lapses, because Michael, you always say it's not how much business you write, it's how much you keep, right?
Yes, the policy that stays is the policy that pays.
That's right, man. And in going back out and seeing your lapses is like, it's almost as good, it's as good or better than writing a new policy, because it didn't cost you anything. You already paid for the lead once, so you might as well follow up on it. All right. Surprise. All right, we're moving on. Surprise final expense carrier. Michael, are you ready for the big reveal?
Ready. I'm in suspense.
I didn't even tell you about this.
I'll tell you, I'm waiting for the thrill.
All right, it's Liberty Bankers. Are you surprised?
I am. I love Larry. I love Mark Aremi and that whole group. Great people. Lizzie, a great group of people.
Man, speaking of which, that's the one thing that I love about Liberty Bankers. It's a small group, man. Michael and I have both met the owner of the company, like the guy, like the owner. I've been to I forget who's the basketball team that, or was it a hockey game? I can't even remember. Anyway, went out to Dallas to the national headquarters, got a chance to meet the president, CEO, the actual owner of Liberty Bankers. We went to a ball game. Actually, might have been a hockey game. I can't remember, but anyway, I was distracted at the time. But anyway, just great people. Mark's our rep. Lizzie works in the office. It's a smaller company, meaning that it's probably like a $2 billion company, as compared to like a Transamerica or Mutual of Omaha, which are 30, 40, $50 billion companies. But the great thing about Liberty Bankers is really all they do is final expense. So their focus is on final expense, so they don't get distracted on a million other products. So they're focused on one thing, and they do it really, really well. And what you see here, this is just a screenshot of the portal, of the agent portal when you log into Liberty Bankers. So just a couple of real quick things. If you're going to do an e-application, this is where you go right here. It's very easy. They also, when you log in, if you want to do some training, they got a nice little demo. You can demo exactly how to do the e-app. The other thing about their portal is that it's very easy to navigate. You've got products, forms, policies, reports. I mean, it's a very, I won't say vanilla, but it's a very simplified agent portal. What I really like is like everything's at your fingertips. It's very, very easy to navigate. And I'm not showing it, but if you scroll down a little bit further, There's the calculator you can do rate calculations. Now keep in mind, for quoting, you can always, they're on FEX Toolkit, or they also have their own mobile app, which you can download to your phone and do the quotes from there. All right, so I think I've got about 8 or 9 bullet points that I want to point out about Liberty Bankers. Okay, the first point I want to point out about Liberty Bankers is their pricing. Oh, I'm sorry. This slide is talking about FEX Toolkit. Guys, if you're not using FEX Toolkit, I'm just telling you, you're missing the boat. This is my go-to. I mean, I'm on FEX Toolkit literally every day, looking up different things, helping agents put deals together. So make sure that you're using your FEX Toolkit. All right, here's what I wanted to mention.
Just to interject real quick, Joe, I'm not seeing the screen. It may just be on my computer. I didn't want you to go too far. I just want to make sure everybody else is seeing the.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, man.
No, I sent you a text earlier. I didn't want to interrupt you, but.
I wish you had. All right, now you can see the screen, right?
Sorry about that, friend.
That's all right. Well, if you want to see, I'm okay, got it. All right. Well, here is the big reveal. Here's the surprise. So thanks for telling me, Michael. All right, so Liberty Bankers. Tip number 1, the reason why Liberty Bankers should definitely be on your radar is because of their pricing. If you're using FEX Toolkit, and Michael, you can see my slide now, right?
Yes, sir.
Male, age 70, good health. Okay, so this is just your male, age 70, just an average guy, not a lot of health issues. You can pretty much get them placed anywhere you want. This is screenshot of FEX Toolkit of the top 10 carriers. Okay, as you can see, this is number 1 right here. We're starting here and we're going down. Transamerica is number 1 at roughly about $70. The highest price is $77, which is Royal Neighbors. So as you can see, between number 1 and number 10, there's only about a $7 difference in between. So it's not a huge spread. But look, man, Liberty Bankers is number 3. Out of all the carriers that we do business with, they're top 3. That's pretty damn good. The other thing with Liberty Bankers, they're easier to do business with, a lot easier than Transamerica. I can tell you that. That's for darn sure. Not this in Transamerica, but anyway. So the pricing, top 3. I ran a quote for a female too. They're top 5. Transamerica, Mutual of Omaha, Foresters. But look, I mean, Liberty Bankers is for a $10,000 face amount, female, age 70, good health. Transamerica, which is number 1, $52.88. Liberty Bankers is $54.79. Dude, it's less than a $2 difference.
Yes.
Between those two. So everyone's pretty competitive. Well, I guess at the end of the day, everyone's pretty competitive. Every time I run a quote, and I'm looking at FEX Toolkit, depending on the medical conditions, because underwriting is going to play a difference. But they're always top 5, man. So they're always going to be typically in that top 5, unless it's some type of underwriting deal where they don't really fit in. Now for the rest of this, I don't have any slides prepared. I'm just going to talk you through it, my selling points. So if you want to take notes, which would be good. Otherwise, this is being recorded and we'll get it up on our YouTube channel so you can view it. All right, so point number 1 is top 5 pricing. Okay, I got a bunch of notes here. Point number 2 is underwriting. There's a lot of situations where Liberty Bankers is really going to shine as far as underwriting. A couple that come to mind, one is COPD. And I'm not going to get into the weeds on it like like a bunch of different health issues. I'm going to cover some of the most common ones that we run across, which are like COPD, diabetes, and mental health, because it seems like everyone's popping a pill for depression or sleep, something. So point number 2 is the underwriting. COPD, this is where Liberty Bankers, they shine, and they've always shined. As long as your client's not on oxygen, you can get them same day coverage. It's going to be what they call a standard. They have a 3-tier application, but their standard is very competitively priced, and it's same day issue. With a lot of carriers, if they have COPD, in some cases like America, it's a decline. With other carriers like Mutual of Omaha, it's going to be graded. Liberty Bankers, same day coverage and priced very competitively. The other area that I noticed that Liberty Bankers shines a lot, Michael, is diabetes. Okay, particularly insulin dependent diabetics. With some carriers, as an example, Transamerica being one, if you're on insulin, it's automatically going to be standard. You don't even have a shot at getting preferred. Mutual of Omaha, if you're diabetic and you were diagnosed prior to the age of 50, it's going to be graded. With Liberty Bankers, you can be insulin dependent diabetic, and as long as your diabetes was diagnosed after the age of 9 and your insulin was after age 25, you're eligible for preferred.
That is huge, because we live in a diabetic nation, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. Now, if you have complications like you had insulin shock, amputation, neuropathy, now those things are going to play a role into it. But we're talking about someone who, let's say you're meeting with a 65-year-old, and let's say they got diagnosed in their 30s or 40s and with insulin, but they've done a good job. They've maintained it. They haven't had any complications. You're going to be hard pressed to find a better carrier than Liberty Bankers as far as pricing and to be able to get them a preferred rate. The other thing, I'm kind of spoiling a surprise, I guess, which I'm going to talk about. Well, I'm going to talk about it later. So insulin dependent diabetes, they're really good. Mental health. Man, it seems like not everybody, but man, it seems like there's a lot of people that are taking medication for either some type of depression, like either bipolar depression or, just regular or even major depression. This is another area where Liberty Bankers really shines, is that your clients can be diagnosed full on bipolar or have a prescription that is, when you look it up, it says for major depression. You can get preferred with Liberty Bankers, provided they haven't been hospitalized. I believe it's like within the last 2 years. Okay. So now where they don't excel is if you get the client that's taking medications for schizophrenia. Okay, which kind of falls into that mental health thing. So they're good for bipolar or regular depression, but if they're full on like taking antipsychotic schizophrenia medication, Liberty Bankers isn't going to be your carrier. Okay, you're going to want to go with like CVS, Aetna, Foresters, Royal Neighbors, Transamerica. Like you could be, I don't mean to laugh, but you could be off your rocker. Those carriers are going to give you a preferred rating, okay? Sorry, was that bad that I was laughing, Michael?
Not at all, because we've all sat with those people in the house saying, oh my goodness, this person's off their rocker. We've all thought.
Well, yeah, and then you look up their medication and it says, oh, this is prescribed, this is antipsychotic medication. And I'm like, well, Transamerica or CVS Aetna, they don't care. So, all right. I'm continuing with underwriting. Another point in underwriting is cancer. This is a big one. For most cancers, for most major cancers like internal cancer, Liberty Bankers only has a 2-year look back for cancer. Now there's some caveats to that. Like if they've had cancer reoccurrence multiple times, or it was what they call metastatic cancer, where it spread to different parts of the body. But I'm just talking about just regular cancer. Like you had a client that had breast cancer, colon cancer, prostate cancer, and they had treatment, surgery, and they got cured and it never came back. That sort of thing. This again, Liberty Banker really shines. Only a 2-year look back. So as long as their cancer was over 2 years ago and they're considered to be cured and they haven't had any treatment within the last 2 years, they can get preferred. Whereas with most carriers, I think most of them are about a 4-year look back, right, Michael?
They were. I was on the Mutual of Omaha the other day. Below 2 years declined between 2 and 4 graded, and after 4 first day. So that is phenomenal.
So with Mutual, if they've had cancer, if they've been treated within the last 2 years, it's just not even graded. It's just declined, right?
Right. Between 2 and 4 is graded, and 4 and greater is. And again, everybody, I hope you heard the main term here is date of last treatment. They said, well, Joe, I've been cancer free. You always want to know what that date of last treatment is, because that's really where the clock starts from.
Right. Treatment is like cancer. Well, I had cancer 2 years ago and I just finished up my radiation 3 weeks ago. No, it would be 2 years from their last radiation treatment or chemo treatment. Okay. Now, here's another thing. You mentioned it about cancer within the last 2 years. Liberty will still take them. So let's say you had the client that had cancer 2 years ago and they've been fighting it for 2 years and they finished up their last chemo or radiation a couple of months ago, and their A1Cs and they're considered cancer free. Liberty Bankers will not saying guarantee, but they will potentially consider them for modified.
Wow.
Okay? And what I'm going to tell you is that their modified is better than going guaranteed issue. I'm going to get into their modified plan a little bit later, how it works. But number one is if you can get them approved modified in the long run, it's going to be a better policy for the client, and it's going to be better for you, the agent, because you're going to get, instead of getting as earned commission from most of the guarantee companies, you're going to get advanced commission paid on issue. And I believe they're graded. I think you take about a 30% haircut in commission, but in most cases, I think that's a hell of a lot better than getting paid 50 or 55% on guaranteed issue. Okay. So, treatment. Okay. So those are the only things, those are the only real, they have other underwriting advantages too. Like I said, I don't want to get into the weeds on a bunch of them, but those are the 3 or 4 major ones that we do run into quite a bit. Point number 3, the reason why you should be looking at Liberty Bankers, their application. It's a 3-tier application. They have preferred, standard, and modified. Their preferred and standard are both same-day coverage. Okay. Very, very competitively priced. What's nice about having a 3-tier application, and it's what I like about their application, when you look at their the worksheet, it's what we call a cascading application. So you read there's three blocks of questions. Probably can't see this because it's small, but anyway, this is the application. So as I'm looking at it, the first set of questions, part 1, if they answer yes to any of these questions, it's a no-go. These are disqualifiers. If they answer yes in anything in part 2, then they could potentially get modified. And then there's a third section, if they answer anything yes in that section, like the COPD, if they have Parkinson's, if they have chronic hepatitis, insulin use before age 25, then they could potentially get standard, which is still same day coverage. And if they answer no to everything, then they potentially could get preferred. So I really like that 3-tier application. In conjunction to that, what I'm going to talk about now is I'm going to expand on why I like their modified plan better than graded. Now there's some advantages and disadvantages, but their modified plan, now this is, I'm talking strictly for the consumer, why I like their modified plan. So let's say you got that client who had cancer, they're cancer-free, but their last treatment was just a couple of months ago. So in most cases, you're going to have to go guaranteed issue because they don't have that 2-year window. Put them with Liberty Bankers. It's a 3-year, get this, it's a 3-year graded period. So with most guaranteed issue companies, it's only, like Gerber as an example, it's only 2-year graded, then it's 100% of the coverage, right? So with Liberty Bankers, it is a 3-year graded, so it's an extra year of graded. The difference is in their 3-year graded period, if they do pass away within the first 3 years, they're going to get the standard. It's the 10% return of premium. Now the difference with Liberty Bankers is that the 10% is compounded interest, not simple interest. So with like your normal graded product, like Gerber, let's say they paid into the policy $1,000. Okay, well, they're just going to take 1,000 times 110%. The death benefit would be $1,100. With Liberty Bankers, it's going to be compounded interest, the same as if they were, let's say, depositing money into a bank account where they were getting compounded interest on the 10%. So even when they make that first premium payment, they're getting 10% interest on that first payment, and then it accumulates just like putting money into a CD. Wow. So if they do pass away in the first 2 or 3 years, that compounded interest is going to add up to a lot more interest than it would just being like simple interest. Does that make sense? You think am I explaining that good, Michael?
That is huge, Joe. And again, just another game changer. But yes, you're explaining it great.
Just the way you explain it, you can explain it like, hey, this is like putting money into a CD. It's compounded interest. Okay. Everybody likes. They say you have the 7 wonders of the world. Well, the 8th wonder of the world is compound interest. Okay, so so for 3-year graded period, once they're past the 3-year graded period, and they go into the 4th year, then it's going to pay like 100%. Okay, 100%. The bonus is that once they've completed the 4th year and they're going into they're starting the 5th year of the policy and they pass away, Liberty Bankers is going to pay out 105% of the face amount. So they're getting an extra 5% of face amount for free.
Oh, wow.
And if they make it 5 years and they start going into their 6th year, it's going to pay out 110% of the premium. So they're going to get even there. So if they took out a $10,000 policy, just for easy math, $10,000 policy, and they pass away 6 years into it, instead of getting $10,000, they're going to get an extra $1,000 of coverage, absolutely free. So the downside to the graded is that it is 3 years. The upside is if they make it into the policy 6 years or beyond, they're going to get an extra 10% of face value, absolutely free. Okay, so that's a big tip for the consumer. And again, the bonus for the agent is that the pay plan, their modified pay plan is going to be much better than any graded pay plan out there. So you'll get paid more as the agent. That's tip number 3. Tip number 4, which is a biggie, is that Liberty Bankers does true Social Security billing for the client. And most of you know what that is, so I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but basically that means is that Liberty Bankers is going to draft the premium on the day that they get their Social Security. So if you're with a client and they get paid on the 1st of the month, and you set them up for true Social Security billing, but the first falls on let's say on a Monday, but the Monday's a holiday, they're really going to get paid on the Friday. Liberty Bankers is going to draft the premium on that Friday. Or let's say the first falls on a Sunday. Again, they're going to get paid on that Friday. Liberty Bankers is going to draft on that Friday. I'm just telling you, this is going to keep a lot more policies on the books. Just, you wanted to add something to that, I think.
That is huge. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we see the train wreck over and over again. And it's not the business that you write the counsel and final expense. It's the business that you keep, and you're on the hook for 270 days after every policy is written. You got to understand the nature of a front-end advance, and that's why companies like Liberty Bankers that do the true Social Security billing will save you so much heartache, because they're really doing the work for you, because we've got to understand our clients. In many cases, our clients have a bank account for one reason and one reason only, and that's to have their Social Security check deposited. And then they're down there on that day taking the money out. And Joe, I don't know how you grew up. I grew up in the cash and carry society. I grew up in the lower middle class.
Yeah.
And that's how these individuals work. And a lot of times, they'll pull that money out, not even really thinking about it, not even knowing. They'll do it maliciously. They just pull it out, and then, of course, the policy lapses. Social Security billing prevents that from happening, ladies and gentlemen, and it really protects your business and really keeps you in business. So very, very powerful.
Yeah, if you got and I didn't want to go in the weeds on this, but I am anyway. If you get a client that gets paid on the 1st, and whether it's a holiday or maybe the first falls on a Sunday, and they're getting paid on Friday, I'm just telling you, when on Monday, most clients are assuming that their payment has already been withdrawn. Okay, so I've had it happen many times. And just as a little side note, as a tip, on FEX Toolkit, and you can see my screenshots, when you're doing your quote on FEX Toolkit, Michael, you notice here on the left, certain carriers have a star. Transamerica, Liberty Bankers, CFG,
Security National.
Yeah, they all have little stars. That indicates that they do true Social Security billing.
Yes.
So just Mutual of Omaha, one of my biggest complaints about them is no Social Security billing.
I was speaking to Jessica. They're building a $430 million skyscraper in Omaha. I said, Jessica, you can't get a Social Security.
I know. It's just like, I mean, if a little old, $1.5 or $2 billion company like Liberty Bankers can do it, or Security National, you tell me that a $50 billion company like Mutual of Omaha can't do it?
Not using Social Security billing is like riding a motorcycle without a helmet. I'm just telling you, it's that important.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, so where do we leave off? Okay, true Social Security billing. Oh, okay, so that, and then the other thing about Liberty Bankers is that they pay commissions on issue, not first draft. What does that mean for you, the agent? You're going to get paid quicker. So if you're doing true Social Security billing, and let's say I'm meeting with a client today, and let's say they're on let's say they don't get paid till the 4th Wednesday. Okay, so if I'm looking at my calendar, I'm writing them today, and the 4th Wednesday, which that's going to put it in the next month. 1, 2, 3. The 4th Wednesday of April next month is the 20th. So if I write them today, with some carriers, you're not getting paid commission for almost a month. Liberty Bankers pay on issue. Means as soon as the policy is approved and they've issued it, they're going to go ahead and pay you the commissions, even though they haven't drafted the first premium. That means you're getting paid quicker. Okay, so that's so that's kind of a nice tip right there. All right, tip number 5, and I probably should have included this in the underwriting, but I didn't. Liberty Bankers does have a bill chart, so you have to be careful. That's why when you're doing FEX toolkit, especially if you're dealing with a client that like physically their appearance, you can see they look heavy, you need to ask them their height and weight so you can put it in to make sure when you're running FEX toolkit, because some carriers have build charts, some carriers don't. Liberty Bankers has a build chart, but very, very rarely, I really can't even think of one case where it's been a hindrance because it's so liberal. I'm just going to give you some examples. Oh, well, here's another thing about their build chart. One plus about their build chart is that it's a unisex build chart. Okay. So men and women, it doesn't matter. There's not one for men, there's not one for women, it's unisex. That really favors for women that are on the heavier side because they're getting lumped into the same build chart as men. So just as an example, Michael, what would you say the average man's height? I'm figuring about 5'9".
Yeah, about 5'9".
Okay, 5'9" with Liberty Bankers, you can be 312 pounds and still be preferred.
Wow.
That's pretty liberal, right?
Wow.
If you're
Pretty
over, so I guess I can say you can't be 312, you can be 311. I think it is you can be up to 312 and still be preferred. If you're over 312, you can still get standard all the way up to 330 pounds.
Wow.
Now, if you're 6 foot, it's like 350. So you can be like 6 foot, 350, still get preferred, not a problem. If you're shorter stature, let's say you're only 5'4", as an example, and again, it doesn't matter male, female, 270 pounds for someone 5'4" to get preferred. If you're over that, you still get standard all the way up to 285 pounds.
Wow.
If you're over that, then you got to go modified, or you got to use one of our other carriers, like who? Like
Yes, that no royal neighbors need them.
yes, well, neighbors, no height and weight chart.
But
Okay,
Joe, you almost have to be morbidly obese to be turned down by Liberty Bank.
you got to be a big boy.
Yes, that's an understatement.
You got to be big not to fit into their build chart. It's very liberal, but still you got to be careful. So that's why I always put in the height and weight, especially if the client looks iffy. If you're quoting over the phone, if you're doing a phone app, you definitely always want to ask height and weight so you can plug that into your FEX toolkit. All right, tip number 6, another reason why I really like Liberty Bankers is they got an awesome child and grandchild rider. Now, what's different, this can be a little bit confusing. What's a little bit different about Liberty Bankers is that they have 2 riders. One is a child rider, one's a grandchild rider. They're not the same thing and they're not interchangeable. The child rider is for, it has to be your biological child. It's not meant for grandchildren. So if you're writing this on someone who maybe is younger that still has children under the age of 18, this is where you want to use the child rider. What's nice about their child rider, Michael, is that you can you can put on as many children as you want, and each unit is the child would get $5,000 of coverage, and you can add on up to 4 units of coverage. So if you're writing someone that has children, you could get each child up to $20,000 of coverage, because that would be 4 times 5 is 20. 4 units of 5,000 is 20,000. So you could get their children covered for 20,000, and then that coverage is good until they're age 25, which at that point they can convert up to 5 times the amount. So if they did 20 times 5 would be 100,000. The child would be eligible with no medical examination, no questions asked, guaranteed issue, up to $100,000 of coverage. Okay. Now, if it's a grandchild, it's a little bit different. So don't get that confused when you're doing the app and you see child. If it's the grandchildren, don't click child. Make sure you click grandchild. There's a difference. Grandchild, there's only one unit. It's $7,500 of coverage, and you can't add on multiple units. You can add on as many grandchildren as you want, but they're each going to get $7,500 worth of coverage, and it's really cheap. It's like $1.20 or something like that per child for $7,500 worth of coverage. And again, just like the child rider, it's good until age 25, and then it's convertible up to 5 times the amount, which would be roughly about 40 grand, I think, right?
Yes.
I think that's right. 7,500 times 5. 37,500 is how much they could convert that to without any proof of eligibility or any proof of yeah. All right, so they have got a great grandchild rider. Just be careful when you're quoting, if it's a grandchild, that you're clicking grandchild, not child. Point number 7, seventh reason I like Liberty Bankers is point of sale decision. Very, very rarely when you're dealing with Liberty Bankers will they ever refer the case to underwriting. Now, it does happen occasionally, maybe, 1 out of 100 or whatever, but 99% of the time, you're going to get a decision right then and there, point of sale, know before you go, whether you're doing it face-to-face or you're doing telesales and you're selling over the phone. Just to piggyback onto that, and I'm going to add this all in, just the know before you go, and then also just the ease of doing business with Liberty Bankers. They basically have 2 ways to take an application, and it doesn't matter if you're face-to-face or if you're selling over the phone. So I guess that's another point with Liberty Bankers is that they've been doing telesales for years. Easy to do business with for selling over the phone. 2 ways of doing it. One is that, and this doesn't, and again, I want to point, it doesn't matter if you're face-to-face or if you're doing it over the phone. You can do, on their portal, you can do what they call the live e-app, where you're doing it through Aptical, and you do an e-application, and at the end of the e-application, it's gonna generate a number, it's gonna refer you to Aptical, where you call in and you just do a real quick interview. They're not gonna ask the client a bunch of health questions. It's basically just to secure, it's like voice signatures, okay? And you're gonna get a decision right there on the spot. So again, you can do that face-to-face if you happen to be with the client face-to-face and you got a tablet or your computer, you can do it. Or you can do their complete, it's a paperless voice signature application, all done through Aptical, where basically what you do is, as the agent, you kind of do, you do your pre-homework and you kind of go through the worksheet and you kind of fill that out like you would like a paper application, and you make sure exactly what they're going to qualify for, and you quote them the premiums, and you get all their banking information, and you close the client. Then you call into Aptical. Aptical is going to do all they're going to ask them all the health questions, and they're going to run the MIB, the prescription history. All that combined probably takes 20 minutes on the short side, maybe up to 40 minutes to do that complete history. And again, you can do that either on the phone or face-to-face. But the cool thing about that, Michael, is that it's 100% paperless. So if you're selling face-to-face, you don't even, like, once you do either one of these applications, there's nothing else that you have to send in to Liberty Bankers. It's just completely done, and you get the decision right there on the spot. What's nice about both of these is that your client, this is great for clients that don't have a computer, and there's no internet connection needed. So now, obviously, if you're doing the e-app, you, the agent, you need an internet connection. But if you're selling over the phone, your client they don't even need a computer in order to do this, because it's going to be a voice signature. So that's number 7. Okay, last point, my last tip about Liberty Bankers is their issue ages. This is one of the few final expense carriers we have that has issue ages from 18 to 80. Okay. So there's a wide range of coverage in there. Also, their face amounts, you can go as low as 3,000. You can go all the way up to 40,000. You can even do 40,000, Michael, on an 80-year-old.
Wow.
I don't know if they can afford the $500 a month premium, but it's there. Okay. Whereas with a lot of carriers, you know, when you get to the higher ages, they reduce the face amount. Liberty Bankers, you can still do up to 40 grand. Where this really comes in handy is Liberty Bankers shines is, let's say you've got that client that isn't old enough for your typical final expense carrier, because a lot of carriers, some of them don't start till age 50 and a lot of them are age 45.
Yes.
As far as acceptance. So Michael, what do you do with the 35-year-old client who's insulin dependent diabetic, has COPD, and is overweight? I mean, a lot of times you'd have to walk away from that client. Yeah. Liberty Bankers, you could get them same day coverage, get them standard.
That is a game changer.
It is a game changer, and we forget about it. I forget about it all the time. You know, I get agents call me, I got this younger client, they're 35 years old, they got these health issues, and I'm thinking, man, 35, that makes it tough. I got to remember, man, Liberty Bankers, they go down to age. I mean, where else do you put a 35-year-old? Seriously, let's say they're not in good health. Let's say they're a smoker, they have COPD, they're insulin dependent diabetic, and they're 100 pounds overweight. Liberty Bankers.
You got it.
Standard. So, and then the last thing I'm going to mention about Liberty Bankers, which is kind of a bonus thing, and I'm not going to talk about it too much, but Liberty Bankers does offer to their, based on your placement and persistency, you got to at least be a gold agent. They offer a $30 lead credit program. Okay, so you got to really look at. I'm not going to get in all the details or the weeds about how their bonus works. If you start writing business with them, and you got to have at least, I think, 90 days of placement and persistency. But after that, you could be eligible for every policy you send Liberty Bankers. You could be eligible for a $30 lead reimbursement bonus. Just if you're contracted with them, go to their website. They have details exactly how the bonus structure works. But that's another great tip, man, for, if you're going to be feeding them some business because they're a great carrier, why not get an extra $30 bonus per application that you send to them? So Michael, that is about right on time too. We've been on the call almost an hour. So guys, that's everything I got for Liberty Bankers. Michael, any last tips or tricks or anything else you want to add before we end the call today?
Just to wrap it up, Joe, you're telling me we have a know before you go, pay upon issue, Social Security billing carrier that will help me out with my lead cost. Where do I sign up? That's amazing.
Dallas, Texas, Liberty Bankers.
Yes. Amazing.
Yeah. All right, brother. Well, thanks everybody for hopping on. I hope this information was helpful. And again, if you're not contracted with Liberty Bankers, let me know. Just FYI, they are an on-time type of deal, so we can get you appointed, and you can get a writing number. You can get access to the portal, but you won't officially be appointed. They're not going to run the background check and all that stuff until you actually submit your first piece of business, but you still get access to the agent portal and all that stuff. All right, guys. All right, Michael, good talking to you.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, everybody. Take care. God bless. Have an awesome weekend. Bye-bye.